Recording in progress.
We are in the back room right now, getting ready to be live on River West Radio. We are coming up in about 10 seconds. So hang tight. Welcome to AbilityMKE Now. My name is Sue Roskopf, and we are here on River West Radio. AbilityMKE Now is a show about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, and here at AbilityMKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability.
She is a communication coach, and has her organization that I'm going to let her tell you about. Vibrant Vocal Power. I'm going to bring her in here. And so, Marjorie, always.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Sue. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, it's amazing. When they changed around, it was very interesting. I was co-host of the Michigan group. I live in Metro Detroit. And when they decided to really particular group, the group that at the time that I could make was Canada Women. And actually that kind of, I live in Michigan, because Michigan is on the east, right across Lake Huron, Ontario, and Detroit actually north, if you can believe that, of Windsor, Ontario. It's a kind of a geographic anomaly that to get to Canada from Detroit, you have to go south. Very strange. So
I love it.
Yeah, and as Emily mentioned, my business is called Vibrant Vocal. Why is that? Because we all need to communicate if we're going to any kind of relationship with someone. My goal is to help everybody to come into the power of their voice. And a voice, not a robocall voice. So that's called my company, Vibrant Vocal Power. And actually, that's the name of my web, vibrantvocalpower.com. And I really think that people need to know what they want to say. I help people actually 3 ways. I help people with their messages. That's the basis of any communication confidence, knowing you've got something worth that's clear and concise and compelling. And does that make sense to you ladies, that you need a compelling message as the foundation?
Absolutely.
So, and then you need to be able to present it. There's 2 ways that I help people. A lot of people see people send something out and it's a big text in a small font that can't read. I call that visually inaccessible. So people create their and so forth so that people can read them, and just a quick. People tend to read by skimming, and they skim first paragraphs. So the short paragraphs, the more your copy people will read, especially put a blank line between paragraphs. And what I recommend is a paragraph that's only 2 or 3 lines. Every sentence can be a separate paragraph, and for goodness sakes, if you do not put it in a paragraph, nobody will read your list. use bullet points or numbers or something like that so that people actually read your information. And then, of course, verbally. People have to be able to use their voice. And what's interesting about that, for hearing people at least, people get more meaning from the tone of your voice than the actual words. So if you get out now, I don't want to make a video. I hate on my sound. I don't want to get on a podcast. I don't want to. So as a singer and voice actor, I help people improve the sound of their voice and use it with more impact. And let me give you a handy hint about the impactful thing you can be. When you say something really important, pause, let in. And the other thing is when you ask a question, you are creating an open link in somebody's brain. And they're going to be thinking about their answer, and they're not paying attention to anything you say after that. So if you question, please pause. People time to think about an answer before you go on. Does that make sense?
I love that. That does make so much sense. I think anyone can relate to that too, because there's been times where we've all done that, where I'm busy thinking about the next thing I want to say, and I'm not 100% focused on what I'm hearing, but yes, we'll bring people back. I mean, like,
Absolutely.
oh, wait. Yeah.
And you want to learn the most about pauses, the effective use of pauses. Watch a program of comedians or listen to comedians. They always pause before
the master.
And they make you wait for it. And then they sing you.
Oh, I love that. What a great excuse to listen to a comedian. I like that.
Well, you believe in the importance of humor in every day. Third thing, of course, it's like the number one fear is public speaking, which actually I define as anytime you talk to somebody other than yourself, people think it's just speeches. I have to tell you something. Lately, my clients that I've been helping, you know what they're really worried about? Out and talk in person to all those. Are you kidding me? Networking out and talking. You want me to pick the phone and call me? Are you kidding me? Public speaking, I think, is anytime you talk to somebody other than yourself. And so I like to help people with all of those things. So I have I love metaphors. And one of my clients gave me a wonderful metaphor. He's the only guy I ever worked with who actually admitted that his fear. The other, no, can't see the audience. So that's one of the excuses I get. Oh, really? But he said I gave him a wonderful toolbox of his fears. I always like to help people, you know. So let me give you a couple of tools. Would you like a couple of tools?
That would be fabulous.
First of all, let me say this. Do not ever beat yourself up for feeling nervous. There are always situations for each of us where we feel nervous. And that includes me. I mean, I'm a communication confidence coach, and I generally feel confident, but there are some situations where I get nervous too. So the first hint is like an advanced hint. It's kind of a mindset hint. If you know you're going to be going someplace and you're nervous about it, here is my very important piece of advice. Don't run horror movies in your mind about everything that could go wrong. Visualize how everything is going wrong. It's really important. You can make yourself really nervous if you run those horror movies.
Or make me bigger.
Right, absolutely. The other thing is, one of the things that happens to us, and this is another mindset thing, when we feel nervous, we feel this circulating in our bodies. And it's energy. It's energy. And we get, is that energy circulating because you're nervous? Or because it's two sides of the same coin? You feel the same way body. And you get to decide, oh, that you're really excited. Now we have others who go on and they have absolutely no energy or excitement in their voices, and they are the most boring people we could possibly hear. So use that excitement to invest your whatever you're saying with your enthusiasm about what you're sharing.
I love that. That makes so much sense. And I think we're all guilty of that at some point when I'm thinking about that running the horror pictures in your mind of all the different ways. I mean, I'm guilty of that, I know, and I think I've gotten better over the years. But I used to always worry about every little thing. It's like, well, but what if this? But what if this? But what if this? And it's like, no, it makes such a difference if you can picture things going right. If you can picture things heading in the right direction of this is going to be successful. This is, instead of worrying about, oh my gosh, because there's a bazillion things you can worry about.
Oh,
I spend that energy going there, right? Yeah.
The other thing is you can use your body to calm yourself down. And anybody who does yoga will, when I say breathing, will do it. We'll say, oh, yes, she's right, breathing. Because one of the things that happens when we're nervous is we tend to, breathe in very narrow, shallow breaths, and it makes us more nervous. But if we focus on taking a low, slow, deep breath and keep doing that, and keep taking deep breaths, as we're speaking, it will calm us down. And you know that there's a wonderful side effect of that? When you are breathing deeply, you are adding resonance to the sound of your voice. When you don't support your voice with air, it sounds terrible. And seriously, breathing, your voice works like a pipe organ. How does a pipe organ make sound? Air. Air. So, and it's funny because when somebody's a good singer, what do they say? Oh, she's got great pipes.
Yeah. Exactly. You're bringing me back to my choir days, and they're like, take that deep breath, get some, you got to get that air in there so you've got somewhere to go.
That's right. So you support your voice so you sound better, and it helps keep you calm.
I love it. Oh, you've got so many wonderful tidbits in there, and we're not even, oh my gosh, in just a few minutes here, you've given
pieces of actually creating a business so that you can help and serve more people. And that one that for instance, I spent a lot of time, teaching certificate at Michigan, and then a master's in audiovisual education. And then in my volunteer career, I was trained as a certified adult trainer by the head trainer for Girl Scouts of America. I got all this training in those skills that I share with people. I don't get any business training. The thing is that I think we need to, if we're going to be interesting people, you know, I don't like people who get bored. There's always something new to learn.
I agree. I don't understand the concept of bored.
Yeah, and I will tell you kind of what underpins my mission here.
That would be lovely.
Okay, well, according to my tradition, the Jewish tradition, we are God's partners in the repair of the world. And we're not obligated to do the whole, but we are obligated to do our little piece. And we can't do our piece of the world and help the people that we are supposed to be helping if we communicate.
Be able to share the message. Yeah. And that's that whole thing of message sent and received. Are people understanding what you're trying to say? And yes, repairs of the world. There's so many things that go through my mind when I hear that.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, I love metaphors, and everywhere you look at my website. By the way, if you go to Vibrant Vocal Power and you have a lighthouse, it's in St. Joseph, Michigan, on Lake Michigan. Michigan, by the way, has more lighthouses than any other state because we are on 4 of the 5 Great Lakes. And if you've never been on a Great Lake, just envision an ocean with no salt.
It's amazing, isn't it? I love that we're on Lake Michigan where we are here. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So St. Joseph, Michigan is on the other side. You can wave.
Excellent.
We'll go there and wave to you, Marjorie.
It's always interesting to me when people come to a Great Lake on at first time. You can't see the other side. No, it's a great lake. That's why they call it a Great Lake. And your message is a lighthouse. What does a lighthouse do? It rescues people, right? It rescues the boats that need it. And when it's a bad storm and something, it's a serious rescue. And when they just want to find how to get into a river or something, it's a, ordinary rescue. But the other thing that I like to say about lighthouses, because one of the things people are afraid of is rejection. Oh, I hate when somebody says no. But think about it. Does a lighthouse run up and down the shoreline after the boats are passing by? No, those boats didn't need that lighthouse. And if somebody doesn't need what you do, they're not going to say yes to it. You don't try and help somebody who doesn't need what you offer because life's too short, time is precious, and there are a lot of people who need what you do.
I love that. That right there is a gold nugget as well. I know once years ago there was a gentleman that we had listened to about communications, and one of the things that he said that has resonated with me for a very long time. When you're communicating with people, I'm trying to remember how he worded it, but the concept was being interested in the other person and instead of trying to be interesting, where you're talking and talking and talking and it's all about being interesting or finding yourself, and then you have to share everything. Flip that around and be more interested in the other person, and you'll have such a better interaction with that person. Everybody likes to talk themselves, right? So I'm the expert in my world because I am me, right? So if you can be interested in the other person and get them talking about themselves, about what they do, about anything that's with them, that is from what we had learned and what our experience then is, how much that has brought value to what we do with our interactions as well. And your analogy with the lighthouse here, it's not exactly the same, but it's still that same kind of piece where it brings it together, and I love that.
Well, that is Stephen R. Covey's, one of his sets of highly effective people is first to understand and to be understood. By the way, if you take that into a networking situation where you're nervous, what you're saying, Sue, you go up and you find out about other people. Ask them about themselves and what they do and what they like about it. And, oh, I haven't seen you here before. Is this your first time? Or this is my first time. Something, have a little conversation and listen to them. I do a series of trainings once a month called Coffee and Coaching Club. And one of the titles of my, I love finding those, said, do you talk at people or with people?
There's a difference there.
There's a difference. And so that whole thing to understand, then to be understood, people are not going to be interested in listening to you if you don't extend to the sea of listening to them first. There's some people who will try and listen to you first. That's okay. But try and keep it as a conversation, not a lecture.
So one thing I'm curious about, I know a lot of individuals that we've encountered in the disability community sometimes struggle to have their voice heard because they have any extra things going on often just because of their situation. If you had something that you could share with those who feel like struggle being heard for whatever reason, what would be something that you would share with them? I know several already would be perfect. I'm just.
What's very interesting about ability and disability, because I had a cousin who was in a wheelchair. This was curb cuts. I'm one of the few people who knows how to navigate curbs with a wheelchair because of that. And when my late husband and I had a house designed, we made it totally accessible. So accessibility has been a big thing for me for a long time because of my late cousin. But one of the things I found when I meet anybody who's being pushed in a wheelchair, I find is people tend to talk to the person who's pushing the wheelchair, not the person in the wheelchair.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I make it my business, maybe because of my cousin, to always address that person first. And so I'm trying to think what one of the things if somebody is struggling and can't speak very quickly, is put up your hand and say, I'm getting there. Let me finish my sentence, please. That's, by the way, one of the things I'm going to be doing a program on what I call conversational landmines.
Oh, that sounds good.
Conversational landmines, I don't know if this would apply, but maybe, is when you're talking and somebody interrupts you in the middle of the sentence. And what do? You don't wait till that person pauses. It's too late. They've hijacked the conversation. You immediately put up your hand visually and say, wait, I've not finished saying. And what somebody with a disability can do, especially if they're stuck in the wheelchair and whoever's talking to over their head, you can put up their hand and say, I'd like to contribute something to the conversation too. Or I'd like to say something to say about this. We have to own our own power. And I'll tell you, it's not just simply people with disabilities. This happens to women all the time. There are all kinds of studies, Supreme Court, that female justices get interrupted far more than the male justices. So people are rude. Some people, not all people. But the thing is that you have to claim your space. You have to stand in your power. Just because you've got some kind of something going on doesn't mean that you don't have a lot to offer.
Yeah, like stick up for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, having that confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is that if you're going to be in a situation where some topics, think about ahead of time what you'd like to say. But there is a wonderful expression. I was a French major in college, and La Rochefoucauld had this wonderful expression called l'esprit d'escalier, the wit of the staircase. You think of the perfect thing you should have said when you're walking down the stairs after the event.
We've all done that.
Yep.
And I would like to say something too about anybody who's giving any kind of presentation. Dale Carnegie famously said that there are always three speeches: the one you plan to give, the one you give, and the one you wish you'd given. When you are in a situation where you do not communicate at the level that you wish you had, please never, ever, ever ask yourself what went wrong. That's a recipe for beating yourself up and never trying again, procrastinating and whatever. In any situation where there's a communication that didn't go exactly as you like, first of all, ask what went right. People get so busy criticizing themselves, they're worse than anybody else, that they lose the value and they forget about the good stuff.
I absolutely love it. I know we're down to about a minute and a half. The next maybe 45 seconds. Any last thoughts you'd like to share?
Just remember that you are a unique person. You have a unique perspective. And don't think that you shouldn't do something because so many other people do what I do. I don't need to do it. There are some people who only hear what you do, or what you offer in your voice. Your voice is unique to you, and you are there to help the people who need what you have to offer. Don't cheat them. Fear. You have an obligation to the world.
Wonderful. It takes it within each of us to be able to share that perspective of it is our obligation to repair your part of the world. I absolutely love that. That is part of why AbilityMKE Now even exists, that we're able to share and make people think and be the reason that a topic comes up that they otherwise wouldn't have. So Marjorie, I cannot thank you enough for being here. This has been an absolutely wonderful conversation. I've enjoyed every moment of this. So Marjorie Solson with Vocal Power, thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.
Recording stopped.
Got all the pieces tucked away there. I got the done and we've moved